Sophie's life with Marcus was painted in shades of comfortable grey. It was a life measured in predictable moments, like the soft click of the kettle boiling for their morning tea, or the shared silence as they read their books on opposite ends of the sofa. Marcus was a good man, a kind man. His love was a sturdy oak tree, deep-rooted and unwavering, offering shade and security. He remembered she liked her toast just a little bit burnt and always made sure her car had petrol. Yet, in the quiet hum of their content existence, a strange restlessness had begun to stir within Sophie. She felt like a ship moored safely in a harbour, watching others sail out towards the thrilling unknown horizon. She loved Marcus, she truly did, but his love felt like a warm blanket when what she craved was a spark of fire. This feeling of being stuck grew louder with each passing day. Their conversations, once filled with shared dreams and laughter, had settled into a comfortable rhythm of practicalities. They talked about groceries, about bills, about whose turn it was to take out the recycling. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable, but it was vast and empty, a space where excitement used to live. Sophie would look at Marcus, his dear familiar face illuminated by the glow of the television, and feel a pang of guilt for wanting more than this peaceful, gentle love. She knew she should be grateful for the stability he provided, for the unwavering ground beneath her feet, but her heart yearned for something that made her feel intensely, wonderfully alive, even if it was just for a moment. Then, Julian walked into her life. He was a whirlwind of color in her monochrome world. He didn't just talk, he told stories that painted vivid pictures in her mind, tales of distant cities and spontaneous adventures. He had a laugh that was loud and infectious, a stark contrast to the gentle quiet she was used to. When he looked at her, it felt like she was the only person in the room, his eyes full of a thrilling intensity that made her pulse race. He complimented her in ways Marcus never did, noticing the small things, like the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was thinking. With Julian, every day felt like an exciting new chapter waiting to be written, and she was the main character. Leaving Marcus was the quietest, most heartbreaking thing she had ever done. There were no raised voices, no slammed doors, no dramatic confrontation. She simply packed a small bag one Tuesday morning while he was at work, leaving a note on the kitchen table. The words were simple, inadequate. "I'm sorry, I need something different." The finality of her own handwriting felt like a betrayal. As she closed the front door behind her for the last time, the click of the latch echoed the sound of her own heart breaking. She was walking away from a man who had only ever shown her kindness, chasing a feeling she couldn't quite define. A brilliant, dazzling promise of a life less ordinary. She told herself this was for the best, that she couldn't live a lie. The first few months with Julian were a dizzying blur of excitement and passion. Life was a constant adventure, a series of late-night drives with the music turned up loud and spontaneous trips to cities she had only ever seen in magazines. Julian's world was fast and bright, and Sophie felt herself swept up in its current. He introduced her to his wide circle of friends, all of them as loud and charming as he was. They went to gallery openings and crowded pubs where the laughter never seemed to end. For a while, it was everything she thought she wanted. The constant motion, the lack of a routine felt like freedom. She was finally the person she had dreamed of being, adventurous, spontaneous, and vibrantly alive. But slowly, hairline cracks began to appear in the perfect facade of her new life. Julian's spontaneity, which had once been so charming, started to feel like a lack of commitment. Plans were always changing at the last minute, and promises he made were often forgotten in the excitement of a new idea. The thrilling intensity in his eyes sometimes flickered into something else, a flash of impatience or a dismissive coolness when she tried to talk about her feelings. The silence with Julian was different from the silence with Marcus. It wasn't peaceful. It was hollow. It was the silence of a man whose thoughts were always somewhere else, on the next adventure, the next thrill, leaving her feeling strangely and completely alone. The vibrant life he had promised began to reveal its darker shades. His charm, she realized, was a tool he used on everyone, a performance he perfected to get what he wanted. She watched him turn it on and off with startling ease, leaving her to wonder if any of it had ever been real. The stories he told, once so captivating, started to sound rehearsed, a collection of anecdotes designed to impress rather than connect. The exciting, unpredictable nature of their life meant there was no stability, no quiet moment to simply be. She found herself longing for the simple comfort of a shared cup of tea, for the gentle presence of someone who didn't need to be entertained. The turning point came during a party at their flat. Julian was in his element, the center of attention, weaving a story for a captivated audience. Sophie watched him from across the room, and for the first time, she didn't see the charming, exciting man she had fallen for. She saw a performer, a man who fed on the energy of others because he had none of his own to sustain him. When their eyes met, his gaze passed right over her, as if she were just another piece of furniture in the room. In that cold, empty moment, the dazzling illusion shattered completely, leaving her with a profound and aching sense of regret. She had traded a love that was real and steady for a cheap imitation. Filled with a desperate hope, Sophie found herself typing a message to Marcus. Her fingers trembled over the keyboard as she tried to find the right words to explain the immense mistake she had made. She told him she was sorry, that she now understood what she had thrown away. She poured her heart out, explaining the emptiness of her new life and the deep longing she felt for the quiet stability he had given her. She hit send and waited, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and a fragile, foolish hope. She imagined him reading it, imagined the possibility of forgiveness, of going back to the life she had so carelessly abandoned. His reply came a few hours later. It was short, polite, and utterly devastating. He told her that he had been hurt, but that he had healed. He wished her well, but he had moved on. He mentioned a new name, a woman named Clara, and the way he wrote about her was with a gentle warmth that Sophie recognized. It was the same quiet, steady affection he had once reserved for her. Reading those words felt like a physical blow, knocking the air from her lungs. The door she had hoped to find slightly ajar had been firmly and kindly closed, locked from the inside. There was no going back. The life she had left behind no longer existed. It had continued without her. The full weight of her loss settled upon her like a heavy shroud. She started noticing the small, meaningful things she had taken for granted. She remembered how Marcus would always leave the hall light on for her if he knew she was coming home late. She recalled the way he would listen, truly listen, when she talked about her day, his quiet attention making her feel seen and valued. These weren't grand romantic gestures, but they were the tiny, invisible threads that had woven together the strong fabric of their shared life. They were the building blocks of a love that was meant to last, a love she had mistaken for boring. Julian's world, once so bright, now felt cold and superficial. The constant parties and endless stream of new faces only amplified her loneliness. She realized that Julian's love was conditional. It existed only in the spotlight, thriving on excitement and attention. In the quiet, ordinary moments of life, it simply disappeared. Marcus's love had been the opposite. It was in the quiet moments that it had been the strongest, a steady and comforting presence that she had failed to appreciate. She had chased a firework, dazzling and brief, and in doing so, she had let go of the sun. The warmth was gone and she was left in the cold darkness of her own making. In the lonely months that followed, Sophie began a slow and painful journey of reflection. She had to confront the uncomfortable truth about herself. She had been so focused on what she thought was missing from her life that she had been completely blind to the abundance she already possessed. She had craved excitement, but she now understood that true connection isn't always found in the thunder and lightning of passion. More often, it is found in the gentle, persistent rain of everyday kindness, in the shared silences that are full of understanding, not emptiness. It is found in the quiet promise of someone who will be there tomorrow and the day after that. She learned a difficult lesson about the nature of love. The thrilling, heart-pounding feeling she had with Julian was not love. It was infatuation. It was an escape from the reality she had found too plain. Real love, she now knew, was quieter. It was the steady hand of Marcus making her tea in the morning. It was his patience, his unwavering support, his deep and unspoken understanding of who she was. Love wasn't a destination or a constant adventure. It was the act of building a safe and gentle world together, piece by piece, day by day. It was the choice to stay, to nurture, and to appreciate the simple beauty of a shared existence. The regret was a constant companion, a dull ache in her chest, that reminded her of what she had lost. It wasn't just Marcus she missed. It was the person she had been with him. With him, she had been grounded, secure, and deeply loved. She had traded that solid ground for a fleeting high, and the fall had been long and hard. There would be no second chances, no opportunity to fix the beautiful things she had broken. She had to accept that Marcus was happy with someone else, someone who likely understood the immense value of his quiet, steadfast heart. And she had to live with the knowledge that she was the one who had walked away. As time passed, the sharp pain of regret softened into a quiet melancholy, a profound and lasting lesson. Sophie understood that she couldn't go back, but she could move forward with a new, hard-won wisdom. She had been searching for a love that would make her life exciting, but she had learned that the most valuable love is the one that makes you feel safe. It's the love that weathers the storms, the love that endures beyond the initial spark. It is the quiet, unassuming love that, once lost, reveals itself to have been the greatest adventure of all. It was a truth she would carry with her for the rest of her days.